be useful to paint a picture of your government's achievements over the last 5 years. And I think there's no better way than to give you a comparative rundown of how my county of Donegal has fared since your arrival into power. There are now in Donegal 31,000 people in 2015 suffering from fuel poverty, up 10,000 from a year earlier. 18,700 people are suffering from food poverty in 2013, according to a survey by Mandate and Unite. Waiting lists at Letterkenny University Hospital have soared by 70% for outpatients and 50% for day case appointments. 60% of the population of the county have medical cards. 16,241 people are on the live register as of December 2015. Up to 20,000 young people have emigrated from the county, leaving, according to NASC, high levels of deprivation and dependency ratios behind them. Only 8 out of 149 electoral divisions are above the national average of deprivation indicators. Enterprise Ireland supported job creation increased by 2% in the North West region in 2015. Ballybofey in County Donegal has the highest commercial property vacancy rate at over 28%, according to an Postgeo directory survey. 52% of households in Donegal will have to rely on state intervention to get broadband, and will have to wait until 2021 to see that realised. Disposable income in the county is at 80% of the national average. Social transfers make up 40% of household disposable income in the county. 1,485 farmers depend on farm assists to supplement their incomes, and 101 primary schools are working under reduced teaching staff, with 67% of third-level students from the county are in receipt of SUSI grants. According to the Central Bank, in February 2015, 15% of homeowners were in serious mortgage arrears, with hundreds of repossession cases before the courts every month. Add to that the cuts to expenditure, like the reduction in the Donegal Centre for Independent Living of $182,000 since 2009, and the resulting inability to provide care supports to people with disabilities in a county with over 21,000 people suffering from a disability. Meanwhile, Taoiseach, on your watch, according to the CSO, the top 10% of income earners in this country hold over 54% of the income, with the top 1% holding 15% of the entire wealth of the country.
Thank you, Deputy.
Your budget and Budget 2016 has accelerated this trend, with tax changes like the cut in USC benefiting those on incomes of €70,000 and more. Taoiseach, my question to you, is this a record that you are proud of? And why should the people of Donegal and Ireland allow Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael to another term in office based on this?
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy, for that commentary on Donegal. As you mentioned, so many people in Donegal depend on social transfers. That's why, as Minister for Social Protection, I was delighted before Christmas to be able to restore the Christmas bonus for all those people in Donegal, particularly older and retired people in Donegal, who rely on their state contributory and non-contributory pension, to increase that to 75%. That meant that for a pensioner couple in Donegal, that was a payment before Christmas to help over with the Christmas expenses of €320. For a single individual on pension in Donegal, it was €170. Secondly, in relation to the issue of fuel and the cost of fuel, thankfully, we know that, for instance, the cost of oil and other fuels has fallen over the last year. Notwithstanding that, because of economic growth in Ireland, I was able on the 1st of January to raise the fuel allowance by €2.50 a week, which I do know of the 400,000 households in Ireland who will benefit from the improvement in the fuel allowance. Many of those, a number of those, will be in Donegal. In addition, I was able to make a small increase in the weekly pension to people aged over 66 and other payments of €3 a week. And again, I appreciate that many of those payments will find their way to Donegal. In addition, we brought in last year as well for those who don't have medical cards in Donegal. We brought in doctor cards for children under 6, and we brought in the same for people aged over 70. And we hope over the period of the life of the next government, if the electorate choose to return this government, to be able to extend that to all primary school children and ultimately to all children, as well as to other categories of older people. I would also say as well, having been in Donegal this summer and spoken to a lot of people, both the management and social protection, but particularly people working in the hotel business, that Donegal has seen a singular renaissance in relation to tourism as a consequence of this government's development of the Wild Atlantic Way. And in fact, I'm happy to say that talking to hotel people from Donegal, and I also had an opportunity to go to a number of fairs involving tourism, the commentary from Donegal about the marketing of the county, particularly to people in America and in Europe and the UK, has been highly successful. And by the way, because, and Deputy, I'm sure you saw it over the summer, because of the strength of sterling and because of the strength of the dollar, having a holiday in Donegal has become, as it has in the rest of Ireland, significantly cheaper and better value for people from the UK and from the United States. And you can see that reflected in Donegal in the number of visitors. In relation to education and in relation to schools, from the day this government was elected, we agreed that we would have a relentless focus on unemployment. And for that purpose, we have set about rebuilding the schools of this country. And right around Donegal, we have actually invested in school refurbishments and in new schools. Not only that, but we have now moved to a position where, in relation to schools which have prefabs, we hope to be in a position to phase out prefabs over the next few years. We have also got Enterprise Ireland and the RDA actually now based on a local county-by-county basis to specifically search out and look for both the development of local businesses, and I'm happy to say that there's a huge surge in the formation of new businesses. And by the way, in social protection, we have at the moment about 10,000 people who are being supported in back-to-work enterprise allowances, quite a number of them in Donegal. So I would say, Deputy, while you've chosen obviously to see the glass half empty, I would see that there are many, many things where people in Donegal, their strength, their resilience, their creativity and their energy and their vigour has seen Donegal, particularly in the tourism area, thriving, and the improvements in social protection in particular have been of some assistance, particularly to our older and retired people who live in Donegal.
Deputy Thomas Pringle, for supplementary question.
It's exactly the resilience and the ingenuity of the people of Donegal that have seen those developments increase, in spite of this government's support and in spite of anything that this government will do for the county. The businesses in Donegal and tourism business in Donegal will have to wait till 2021 to get adequate broadband under your government's plan. Your government has consistently refused to prioritise the areas that are most marginalised in terms of the rollout of broadband, and questions by me in this House. The people of Donegal are resilient, and the people of Donegal have our ingenuity and can develop and build, but they are not getting the support from this government to allow that to happen, and that is the difference, Taoiseach. The things that you've talked about there in terms of increasing tourism, exchange rates, that has nothing to do with you. It's nothing to do with this government. It's nothing to do with this government's policies. The exchange rate is completely out of your control, and you cannot do anything about it. You need to focus on rural Ireland. You need to give rural Ireland the tools to be able to develop, and the people themselves will develop it. Last year, the ADA, you mentioned the ADA in your contribution, last year the ADA held 3 visits to Donegal in the year of 2015. And the only place in Donegal that the ADA will look at development in is Letterkenny. There is a lot more to County Donegal than Letterkenny, and we need development balance right across the country. On your watch, Taoiseach, the wealthy are getting wealthier, inequality is growing and building, our young people continue to emigrate from rural Ireland, and that's on your watch. And you are asking people to give you another 5-year term to ensure that you can continue with those policies to ensure that that inequality continues to grow.
Thank you. Taoiseach, to conclude.
Well, in relation to specific measures to support Donegal, can I remind you that one of the first things this government did was to reduce the VAT rate in respect of tourism and similar services from 13.5% to 9%. And you can talk to any hotelier or restaurant or hospitality provider in Donegal and they will tell you, because before the budget this year they lobbied very intensively to ensure that that reduction to 9% stayed in place, because right along the western seaboard that reduction in VAT has been at the base of quite a significant expansion in tourism, as well as the marketing development, which in many ways has been, I have to say, a real piece of marketing skill to market our western coast as the Wild Atlantic Way. I also want to say to you that the public sector is a very significant employer in Donegal, and I want to remind you that for ordinary public sector workers in Donegal, the 1st of January has actually seen a reduction in their USC, and the reduction in the USC is focused on people earning between 25,000 and 70,000 a year. Why don't you just read the IMF report and ponder? Because the public sector is a major employer in Donegal. My own department, the Department of Social Protection, is a major employer in Donegal. We've super staff in Donegal, and I am delighted to see. I'm delighted. The Department of Social Protection in Donegal, you've no right to sneer at them because they're working in social protection and laugh at them. You've no right to sneer or laugh at the department staff. They give an excellent service. But they have seen a reduction in their USC, and the reduction in USC is capped at people earning 70,000 or above. That's the way it's been arranged. They have also seen the beginning of the rollback of the FEMPI measures which were taken by Fianna Fáil when Fianna Fáil wrecked the economy. That is being rolled back now over the next 24 months. So for the significant public sector employees in Donegal, the new year has actually begun on a positive, if modest, note.
Thank you.
And if we're returned to government by the people of Donegal and the rest of Ireland, we'll be able to improve that position every year for the next 5 years.
That concludes leaders' questions.